On today's podcast, we're going to be covering the documenting and implementation of processes, so stay tuned.
Welcome to Warehouse Safety Tips. If you're a seasoned vodcast viewer, this vodcast is going to be different from most that you watch. It's based around exactly what the name implies, warehouse safety tips. And since the people in this industry are busy, we know that time is money, so each episode will be as short and to the point as possible. And now, with all that out of the way, let's get to the vodcast.
It's starting to sound like a broken record, but the truth is, many of the topics for this podcast come from a non-safety origin. Our topic today is yet another one of those. Although we don't officially add it to the title, this podcast has been the Wednesday Warehouse Safety Tips, or Warehouse Safety Tips Wednesday. It's not something that follows the rules of staying evergreen, which is making content that appears new regardless of when you listen to it, but today is episode 103. That's right, we're just one more episode away from doing this every week for 2 years in a row, and up until this week, we hadn't experienced any hiccups in delivering that. But yours truly found himself in the emergency room and then admitted into the hospital without a podcast ready to go. Now the point is, even though we didn't post on Wednesday, we almost didn't get to post this week at all. That brings us to a lesson for this week. What does your facility do in your absence? Have you ever been to a business where there's a person that knows everything? They're that person that's been there, done that, and has the t-shirt for virtually everything that's happened at the business. When those sort of people are sick, leave, and or in the worst case scenario, die, they take all their knowledge, tips, and tricks with them. Now, you might not be as knowledgeable and or vital to the operations as the before mentioned person is, but if you do anything specialized that most people couldn't just fill in and do, then you're just as essential. So how do you remedy this? One of the answers is in documenting operations, such as what's accomplished via ISO. If you don't know what that is, it's the International Organization of Standardization. And much like the 5S methodology and Lean Six Sigma, ISO has a lot of moving parts. But from the highest of high views, what we're going to be talking about here is making sure that you have documentation in place of exactly what you do within your position, explained to the point that theoretically someone could complete your duties in your absence. And it's not just about making sure that other people can do your job, but that you can do your job as efficiently as possible. This would apply to things you don't have to do all the time. If you had a step-by-step documentation of a process, it would be much easier to follow than just trying to remember how you did it last time and possibly skipping needed steps. As always, implementing the 5S methodology, specifically SUSTAIN, will allow you to revisit your documentation on a regular basis to assure that it's up to date and constantly striving to update it so that things are being done as efficiently as possible. We look forward to seeing you on our 104th episode, which is our 2-year anniversary podcast next week. Until then, have a great week and stay safe.
Before moving on, here's a word from one of our sponsors. If you've ever been to or worked in a warehouse, you know just how important safety is to both management and staff. It's almost impossible to go 10 steps without seeing safety tape, angles, signs, and or safety products. It's these items that show us how to be safe and avoid danger in the workplace. And if you're looking for the best products to make this happen, look no further than Mighty Line. Mighty Line floor signs and floor markings offer the best industrial products out there. We're proud to have Mighty Line as the official floor sign and floor marking company for the Warehouse Safety Tips podcast and site. Go to mightylinetape.com/safety tips to request a sample pack of their incredible safety signs and floor markings. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Warehouse Safety Tips. If you visit warehousesafetytips.com, you'll find the show notes for this episode and access to all of our blog posts, previous podcasts, advertiser information, and much more. Thank you for listening to Warehouse Safety Tips and have a safe day.